Hey everyone. You know, I'm subscribed to a Movie Pilot on the Movie Pilot group on Facebook, as well as I'm a creative member of Movie Pilot. I kind of post every now and then, but I was, looking through my Facebook today, and I noticed that they had an article up about somebody visiting a Blockbuster, one of the few remaining blockbusters around. Excuse me. In the what they call the retro rewind, and of course the person I'm talking about is Chris Stuckman, and he and his wife apparently went to one in Indiana that is still in business. Basically, the people that run apparently Blockbuster is owned by people that you know the stores are owned and run by people that invest in the franchise, and I believe Blockbuster is still around in some way. I think it's mostly online now, but there are still some physical, excuse me, some physical stores out there. Yeah, it's still online. It's Blockbuster Movies. I think that's what it is. Yeah, Blockbuster. It's mostly an online thing now, I think. I believe. It's part of sling.com/Blockbuster. Yeah. So apparently it's been bought in by Sling. And it's Blockbuster on demand movies. So it's basically it's basically an on demand service now, but it's still around. And apparently apparently, like I said, there's one still, excuse me, there's still one in Indiana, as far as I know. In fact, there's looks like there's several, maybe. There might be several still left in Indiana. I'm not saying it is. Maybe these are just where they were. Oh, here it is. Here's an article from excuse me, from AV Club. It's the same article, and it's basically a nostalgic fan visits a still functioning Blockbuster Video in Indiana, and it is Chris Stuckman that went and visited the place. And let's see what's located. It's see. See where it's located at here. Well, it says it's in Indiana. It doesn't really say exactly what location in Indiana, but it's hard to believe that for a lot of us, you know, um, for a lot of us, like for me, it's been about now 5 years. And the building that it was in is still standing. The crick drop slot is still there as far as I know. And everything's still pretty much the same. I mean, you look inside and there's still some remnants like of Blockbuster there and everything. And for me, uh, Blockbuster as a kid growing up was a place to go. I mean, it was the place. I remember when Blockbuster first got announced as the next big thing in home video, because we always had these we always had these mom and pop, independently owned video rental stores, which only let you rent a movie or even a game for one night, and that was during the weekdays. And I think some of them made the exception that on the weekends you could rent a movie and a game for 3 nights, for that Friday to Sunday. Basically, you had it for Friday, you had it for Saturday, and you had to return it by midnight or closing time Sunday night. And I remember the biggest video chain we had in the Bay Area when I was growing up. My big sister actually worked at it. It was one of her first jobs she had. Was Ultimate Video. And Ultimate Video was kind of like, I guess you could say, was the Bay Area, if not the West Coast, answer to Family Video. Because, the Ultimate Video store, it had a lot as far as games and movies were concerned. I mean, you walk in and as soon as you go past the counter, there was the whole games of NES games, and on one side you had Sega Genesis games, and it was it was pretty cool. And then you go to the back and you see nothing but movies, and they had them all divided in sections. They had them kid movies, like a whole peripheral of rows of kid movies and family movies, and on one side they would have, in other sections that were a little bit bigger, they would have sci-fi and comedy and drama. And yes, even in the back they had one area that was specifically kind of sealed, was not sealed off, but it said something like adults only or something like that, or staff allowed only. But you knew it was the adult section. That's basically, the staff would have to take an adult, someone that wanted to rent something from that section, to the back to rent that movie. So, so yeah, it was pretty interesting. It's really pretty interesting to have an Ultimate Video like that. And I think it was around the Bay Area, but where I lived and where my excuse me, where I lived, it was pretty cool to see. And my sister, like I said, my oldest sister, she worked there, and one of the advantages of working there was she was able to, get some advanced screenings for us as far as home video releases were concerned. In other words, she was able to, get us the screeners, if you will, of the movies before they were officially released on VHS. Like, for example, one of my favorite movies is Ace Ventura, and we all loved it. We all still like it. I have I have it on DVD. I have it on VHS. I have it on Blu-ray. So, anyway. She was able to get us an advanced screener copy to watch at home. The only difference was this wasn't the official copy that had the additional footage that was taken out of the theatrical version. This was the theatrical version as a screener. And I think they had something on the bottom that said do not copy or something. But this was the VHS screener. And this is before nowadays you have DVD screeners and stuff like that. This was the actual VHS screener. So, anyway, that was pretty cool. excuse me, that was pretty cool to have around at that time. Now, for someone like me, you know, like Chris, I have several accounts for online rental services as well. Netflix, no doubt, Amazon, of course, Hulu, you name it. I probably have a membership. VDU, I think I have a membership too. So yeah, I'm pretty much, in the category of, yes, I have memberships to those, subscriptions to those, but there's still a part of me that, like a lot of people, misses going into a video store and renting an actual copy of a game. You know, I miss doing that. And unfortunately, those days are pretty much coming to an end. And just to know that what Chris did, and knowing that there are still physical family video stores out there, as well as some markets, discount markets or supermarkets out there that still rent physical media as well, instead of having to send out for it, instead of mailing out for it or signing up for something. Well, yeah, you had to sign up for Blockbuster and all that, but you get the point. To me, there's just a big difference there. Instead of waiting, a week or a few days just to get something from Netflix or from GameFly, it was always so cool to go over to a Blockbuster or to an Ultimate Video or Hollywood Video or wherever and get what you were looking for, because sometimes you would be there and you wouldn't have to wait. Now, of course, the only problem with that is you would have to wait to the appropriate time to get that physical media. You would have to wait to the appropriate time to make sure that it was in stock. That was the only disadvantage about video stores. Whether they were major chains like Blockbuster, semi-major chains like Hollywood Video, regional, if not semi-regional chains like Ultimate Video, or even your independent mom and pops like Neighborhood Video and K-Video in Fremont. Yeah, we had a K-Video in Fremont. You never knew when something was there. You never knew if it was going to be there or you'd have to wait. I remember when TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, came out on the NES, and me and my sisters wanted to play it. Well, me and my older sister. And unfortunately, anytime we would try to get it, it would be out of stock. So I think my dad or somebody asked, okay, when is the best time to come in and make sure it's there? And they said, well, we're going to probably get one back in tonight. So the best time to come in would be around opening time, which would be about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. So I can recall one time, my father, he had the day off. He took me and my older sister, I think it was during the summer. He took us and we got there just in time to rent the game. And we were very fortunate because there was only one copy left, I think. So, and that was at what would be her future job, Ultimate Video. I think this was about a year before she got hired there. I'm not really sure. So, anyway, I remember, like I said, I remember stuff like that because of places like Blockbuster and Ultimate Video and Hollywood Video and the independent mom and pops. In fact, one of the earliest rental stores that I remember me and my family being part of was Neighborhood Video in Hayward, and it was basically in the vicinity. Like we would go down, what was it, Mission Boulevard or something like that. I can't really remember, but we would go down to where the 7-Eleven was across from the Arco as we were going to my grandparents, and there, right across from there, was a shopping center And one of the first things right on the right of that shopping center going in, you had to go just a little bit further, about a few more feet or blocks. But in that shopping center, one of the first things that you turned in to the right was the neighborhood video. And I remember that place very specifically because, as a fact, because of the fact that we would rent movies there all the time and even games. But I also remember it because when Transformers the movie finally came out of VHS, my parents called up, said, "Is there a way we can reserve it?" And they said, "Sure, go ahead, we'll let you know when it comes in." They called up about a day or so later, and we ended up getting Transformers the movie. And that's how I first saw it. Even though I would like to have seen it in the theaters, that was the first time I saw it, was on VHS. And that was the old Family Home Entertainment VHS. So, yeah, just a lot of good memories. And I remember when I lived in Kansas, I had Blockbuster I could rent from. I also remember I had a Dillon's. Dillon's had a little rental area. In fact, they had this small area in the store where it was nothing but VHS. I think as soon as DVD came around, DVD and video games. It was basically the own little mini video store. The only difference was, I think they only let you rent things for about 2 days. I remember for a time, Ultimate Video, they were the ones that let you rent it for about 3 days. Didn't matter what time of the week it was. It was a 3-day rental. And I think at times, maybe I'm not too sure, but I think during the summer or something like that, they kind of expanded it to a week. And that was only for that time of the season. Then they would reduce it back to 3 days. But during the summer, if you wanted to rent something, they would give you about a week to have it. And then, as time went on, a lot of video stores, like even Blockbuster, got into the act, started doing the 5-day rental deal, because I think someone realized, or some people at these chains realized, that people need more time to watch the movies they rent, and kids need more time to play the games that they rent than just 2 to 3 days. Excuse me. So apparently that new rule came into effect. But one of the things that they did as well that I kind of guess balanced things out, and again, this was not just for Blockbuster, but for a lot of video chains, was they would let you rent Pacific movies for 5 days, but the new releases, and this included games, would only be about 3 days. So, yeah, a lot of changes did happen as, time went on, and I think a lot of these happened towards the end of the 90s and into the 2000s. But I think one person might say, or one person might point out, that as this happened, it was just showing the inevitable that video stores, physical video rental stores, were coming to a close. And they were. I remember in Oskaloosa, Kansas, we had a video store there, and the people knew me, and it was one of the places I could actually still not only rent VHS and games, but I could also rent VCRs. So that was pretty cool, and I did that because I think the VCR we had at the time still worked, it just wouldn't record. So, unfortunately, that was the only video place we had. It was a small little area, but, it served our needs. Nowadays, they got a Dollar General there, and they got a red box in front of the Dollar General, and, well, there you go. Anyway, long story short, to me, places like Blockbuster